Well, hello everybody, and happy Thursday. This is Alyssa, and thank you very much for joining us. It's crazy to believe that it's already this time of year again. Time flies when you're having fun. This is definitely one of those things that because it's once a year, we know everybody gets a little fuzzy and hazy on it, and we've got folks that are doing this for the first time. So we are excited to walk you through, get it in the front of your minds. That being said, there is no expectation that you are going to memorize everything from today's call. So I will follow up with access to helpful information that will keep everything we walk through today available for you. And with that, if you guys do have questions throughout the presentation, hopefully you're familiar with Zoom. We've got a Q&A in here, so feel free to pose your questions. We'll make sure to, at the end of the call, get some time to address your questions. And with no further ado, I will let the expert on the topic, Rick, walk you through.
Well, I don't know if expert's the right term, but I'm going to do my best here. So I continually joke around about year end, and the biggest joke is, and I feel bad because I say it every single year, is the good and the bad of year end is that it just happens one time. So just like you, at the end of the year, we're refreshing ourselves even on some of the topics that we're going to go through today. So I'm going to walk you through this. We're not going to talk about anything payroll software specific. So I just want to lay that out there. We're going to talk about how you can utilize the features that we've built to release W-2s, 1099s out to clients. But I don't want to get into anything payroll specific today. We're more than happy to answer those questions. We even have help articles that are payroll platform specific, but we're going to be a little bit more general. So to start off, it's really important to talk about the two main steps that come into play when we're talking about employee W-2 and 1099 delivery. So the actual delivery out to the individual employee themselves. Because we have two steps that are built into that process. The first part is what we call generation. So this is where you, within your payroll platform, whatever platform you utilize, will actually generate a copy of the employee W-2s, 1099s, and then we'll receive that through the mechanisms that have been built with your specific payroll software. So again, generation is the first step. It's the actual process of you within your payroll platform generating the individual employee W-2s, 1099s, and getting them over to us through the mechanisms that have already been built. Now, once we have them, the second step is what we call release or delivery. So this is the mechanism that will actually say, now, Shugo, now that you have these, get these out into the hands of all the employees. And when we talk about a release mechanism, we've built in two different modes that the release mechanism can follow. So the manual mode, and this is the most popular one that's chosen, it's the one that's actually set by default, means you physically, someone on your team physically has to come into the Shugo platform and say, release these out now to all the employees. So it's nothing that happens automated. Remember, we can be receiving them through the generation step, keep on receiving them, keep on receiving them, keep on receiving them. And then with the manual release, somebody in your team actually has to come into our system and say, now is the time to get them into the hands of all the employees. Now, the opposite of the manual mode is automatic. And again, we don't see too much of the automatic mode, but what that means is once we receive them as generated from your payroll platform, we're going to automatically send them to the employees. So again, these are the two different steps: generation of you actually generating them out of your payroll system, and then the process of release and delivery. And the big point here is in the release and delivery, you can choose either a manual or an automatic mode. Most folks choose manual. And one of the things to note is, I have this note at the bottom of this slide, is whenever they're released, the email will be sent to the employee the next morning at approximately 3 a.m. Eastern time, letting them know that their end of year document's available. So to kind of take a step with this, because again, manual automatic are the two different modes here we're talking about. I just sort of wanted to kind of diagram this out. I'm a visual person, so seeing this like this sort of helps me. So if you have a manual release mode set, what you see is this. As you generate the W-2s out of your source payroll platform, they're just sitting and filling up in our queue. And that's why you can see the red bar getting bigger, because as you're generating more and more W-2s, the queue that we have is just filling up, filling up, filling up, filling up, until you actually come in and release them out to the staff, which then, release them out to the employees, which then actually drains the queue, sends them out directly to all the employees. Whereas if you do the automatic mode, there's never any buildup in the queue because they automatically got delivered immediately. So again, going back, these are important. And most people, I'm going to tell you, 99% of folks like the manual release mode. Now, A, because they have a little more control over it, and B, it's not hard to do, but it's just for that control factor, most people like that manual release mode. So thinking about, we looked before at steps. These are sort of stages that we built. And these stages are going to be important because when you see some of the maintenance tools that we have available, you're going to see these stages on the left-hand side be identified. So a client could be in what we call a pending generation stage. What this means is you haven't even generated them out of the source payroll platform yet. So again, we haven't received these. So the client is still in pending generation. But once you do generate them, and we haven't released these out in delivery to the employees yet, the client now falls into what we call a pending delivery stage. So again, pending delivery means you generated them, we have them set up in our queue, we're just waiting for you to say, now release them out to the employees. And the third stage is the completion of the entire process called delivery complete. So these are the three stages: pending generation, pending delivery, and delivery complete. Now, you may have clients that are in different stages. So client A could be in pending delivery, client B could be in pending generation, and that's because you generated client A's W-2s and 1099s out of your payroll platform, but client B you haven't yet. So remember, these stages are client specific: pending generation, pending delivery, and delivery complete. Now, to help you, and if you've already been through this in 1 year, you're just going to want to go back and check this out again. We have something what's called the EOY checklist. So you can see I have up in here a path on how to get to this within our platform. So you go to the FGX Express area, you look for the EOY checklist on the left-hand menu, and you really want to look at these three items, and you want to set these three items. So the first item is your release setting. And again, for most people, it's set to manual. And you can override it and set it to automatic, but 99% of the time, it's defaulted to manual and it stays there for everybody. But you can always go here and change it. The second thing to look at is your retention policy. So when you go through initial training with us and Alyssa, we talk about retention policies, how long documents will stay available in our platform. So we have a specific retention policy for W-2s and 1099s. So you can go in there and tweak it if you want. The default is 7 years. So most people don't change it off of that, and that's why it's the default. But you can go to the EOY checklist and look at that. The last piece is, just like you can configure email templates that are used when we notify folks that their pay stub's available, you can also create different email templates that would be utilized for your W-2 and your 1099 deliveries. So again, this is where we want to be able to say you can create whatever text you want as your email template. That's under your My Account branding area. And here in our EOY checklist, this is where we can go and select our templates so that when we send out a W-2 delivery to an employee, it has the appropriate subject and body that you want it to utilize. And I put a special tip here. Is we have those merge tags that you can put in those templates. One of the most important ones for end of year documents is the year merge tag. So you can always put that in. Now, don't worry. Even if we don't deliver the W-2s and 1099s until 2018, the year tag will say 2017 because that is the year that the W-2 or the 1099 is for. So that's always a question we get. We know 99 times out of 100, you get this out to the employees in January or the following year. Don't worry, that year tag will adhere to the year the W-2 or the 1099 is for. So that's one of the big tips here. Now, in addition to the checklist, we also have what's called the status screen. So this is where you can get an overarching view across all of your clients as to what stage in the end of year process for employee deliveries are they at? Are they at pending generation? Are they at pending delivery or delivery complete? So what we'll see is, and I have a screenshot set up in this next slide, the end of year status screen gives you accessibility and the view into which employees, which clients of yours are in pending generation status, which clients are in pending delivery. Again, they're the ones that are queued up waiting for you to release, and which ones the delivery complete has been done. And one of the important components of this screen is we have the capability that you can batch release those clients that are queued in the pending delivery stage. You can batch release out to them. So what we'll look at is, we're going to look at this screen, and you're going to see on the screen there's some text, and I'm going to go through this called fully generated. So what fully generated means is this. You have X amount of employees set up for this client, and we receive Y number of W-2s and 1099s. Are those numbers equal? Because if those numbers are the same, that means we have a W-2 or 1099 for every employee you have set up for that client. That means they're fully generated. But let's say that the client has 30 employees, but we've only received 20 end-of-year documents. Well, in that case, they're not fully generated because we don't have an end-of-year document for every employee set up. So that's what this fully generated status means. So when we look at this, this is what the screen looks like when you come in here. We have the 3 stages. You can see under the search. You can search by pending generation status, pending delivery, or delivery complete. You just simply click on those little buttons. For those that are in pending delivery, you will have the capability to select them. And once you've selected them, use the Release Now button. This is what will take them out of that queue of pending delivery and now move them over to delivery complete, because 3 a.m. the next morning, the employees are going to get notifications that their end of year documents available for download. So this data screen is really important. I always recommend a couple times in January coming here to make sure that what you think has been generated, and to also do your release settings for those clients that are in the pending delivery stage. So again, we'll give you copies of these slides, but this is a really important screen here. Now, getting to this screen is going to be a little bit different based upon your payroll platform. So I kind of lied a little bit earlier. I said I wasn't going to talk about payroll and platform specific stuff, but I sort of am right here. So we put in here, these are the paths to get to this screen based upon your payroll platform. For most folks, when you go to your FGX Express area, you're going to explicitly see a W-2 1099 status icon on the left-hand side. So that's that first image right here. For folks that are strictly using Pay Choice, you have your list of FGX Plus rules. Within that page is an EOY status item on the menu. So again, we just wanted to include this. This is how you get to that really, really important end of year status screen. So that's the first major component that I wanted to talk about. We have those 3 stages. Pending generation, you haven't generated them out of your payroll system. Pending delivery, you generated them out of your payroll system. We have them queued up, but they're not delivered yet out to the employees. And then delivery complete. And remember, visit your EOY checklist, visit the EOY status screen. There are two important components here. And that's why, again, I always joke, the beauty and the bad part of end of year. It happens once a year. So we always run into a situation, and I call it the dilemma. And the dilemma is this. A single employee needs their W-2 reprocessed for an address change. But you're scared because, geez, you've already released them out to all the employees of that company. Yikes. Does that mean when you regenerate the W-2s out of your payroll system, even though it's just for that one employee who needs the address change, every employee of the company is going to be affected? They're going to receive a second W-2? The answer to that is no. We have built mechanisms where if you have released W-2s or 1099s out to a client and you need to reprocess a specific W-2, you can selectively choose which employees the reprocessing will be for. Now remember, this is only if you've already released the W-2s out to the clients. This is why most people like that manual release, because they typically wait until the end of January where all this fun reprocessing has been finalized, and then you can just do a release at once. But sometimes we know this still happens. So here are what we call the reprocessing golden rules. If you have not released the W-2s and 1099s to the employees yet, reprocess to your heart's content. We're smart enough to say, hey, every time we get a new batch of end of year documents, delete the ones that we've queued up, queue up these new versions, and they're still going to now be waiting for you to finally go and release. But the dilemma I spoke about is when the W-2s and 1099s have been delivered to the employees. So what you can do is come into our platform, tag the employees you want the regeneration to be processed for. Once those employees are tagged, go back into your payroll system and generate the new ones out. So here's the steps. Select the employees you want to require reprocessing, regenerate them out of your payroll system, and only the tagged employees that you selected for reprocessing will receive a new W-2. Now, they're not going to receive a second W-2. The old one is going to be replaced, and they're going to receive a new notification that their latest W-2 is now available. So they don't have two in our system. They'll still only have one. But again, they'll receive another notification if the W-2 is available. So how do you tag the specific employees for reprocessing? Well, for those using Hub, you get to their Hub tab of their rule. There's an end of year processing menu. And when you get to the end of year processing menu, on the right-hand side, after you click that little link, is the ability to tag the employees that you want to reprocess for. Now, this is only going to be available, again, if you've already released and delivered the W-2s to this client. But this is where you go if you need to do that special reprocessing logic. This is specifically for those who are using Hub. Now, for non-Hub folks, you go to the Employees tab of their FGX rule, and you'll see a W-2 1099 status area, and you can see right on the screen we've identified where you can tag the reprocessing from. So, to recap overall, number one, there are two main steps that occur. One is generation. That's something you do with inside your payroll system. It comes over to us of the W-2s, 1099s. And two is the release of them, the delivery of them. Now, most people like the manual release mode. So what that means is sometimes you have clients who their W-2s queue up and are pending delivery status until you come into the end of your status screen and actually release them out to those employees. We have the main reprocessing rules. So again, if a late end of year address change came in, which affects the W-2, and we've already released W-2s out to the employees of that client, you can just tag specific employees for reprocessing so that we don't affect anybody else. So we thought that we would probably leave about 10 minutes for questions, and I think we're right on track for that. What we also have is while we wait for some questions to come in. Again, you can use the Q&A panel inside of the Zoom window. We have a number of end-of-year knowledge base articles. Again, we're going to distribute copies of these slides. This slide here has a direct link to those end-of-year knowledge base articles. Some of them are payroll platform specific. Some of them rehash everything we just talked about. So make sure you utilize those knowledge base articles. We'll also get you copies of these slides. So these slides are important, right? So they're going to walk you through the different steps, the different stages, how you can go through and use the end-of-year status screen, how you can use that to do your batch release out to a number of clients. You can see which clients are in which status. Really, really helpful with that. The last piece is, obviously with working with us, you know the responsiveness you're going to receive. So if you look at the knowledge base articles, if you look at these slides and you're still thinking, man, I don't have a clue, obviously use our ask@myshugo.com address. So we'll make sure to get your questions answered. But I do ask, again, just like this is a heavy time of a year for you, this is a really, really heavy support time for us. If you can make sure to reference the knowledge base articles first, reference the slides as well, before you just reach out for the ask@myshugo.com. Greatly appreciate it. If you do need to use the ask@myshugo.com, feel free. Just please make sure to put the company code in the email subject. I can't tell you how many emails we get at ask@myshugo.com, and it references nothing about the company code, nothing about the employee, and then it just takes time for us to get that information from you. So again, if you have questions, use the Q&A panel. We'll be here to help. I don't want to talk about specific payroll platform stuff because we have people from all different payroll platforms here. We're happy to answer that afterwards, but please feel free to use that. One other thing that I will mention is I am recording this. So in addition to distributing out the slides, we'll also send you out a recording of this. So sometimes just kind of seeing it that second time is helpful too. So I don't have any questions right now. So either I did a fantastic job of explaining, or everyone remembers this stuff, or maybe I just went over everybody's head. I'm hoping it's those first two. But I'm going to wait a couple minutes, but if not, appreciate your time. Appreciate you joining us today. If we don't hear from you, have a great holiday. And we look forward to, again, a successful year end and how we can help you.
Okay. Well, everybody, expect to get some follow-up from me with all sorts of helpful pieces to review and refresh. But lack of questions tells us we get an A+.